in a year you could read one book a year and still be a reader, still be proud of yourself, still, like, it doesn't matter, you know. You read whatever books you want to read at the pace that you want to read at. I am not a fast reader. Like, I do not fly through books. I also can only read for an hour, maybe 2 hours at a time. I have, like, my eyes are really sensitive, and I don't know, I have a short attention span, so I do struggle to read, but I still love books. I enjoy it. So I do. I just thought I would mention that, so don't ever feel pressured by, you know, like big booktubers or book talkers who read like 20 books in a month. Like, that's crazy. That's amazing for them. But books are meant to be enjoyed. Like, it's not a race, you know. There are just so many books out there that I want to get to. So, and I find it fun for myself to see how many I can read in a month while still enjoying it. So yeah, let's move on then to the first book that I read. So I want to say as well that it was great for quantity, but it was also an interesting month for quality of books. I actually had a couple, maybe a few, that just kind of didn't hit it for me. So let's get started. So a few of these books I don't have the physical copies for, so I'll either tap on my Kindle or a different book just to represent it. So the first book I read is called The Golden Spoon. I'll put it up on screen here for you so you can see the author as well. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So look, what I did for the first time throughout the month, I actually made notes on each book as I was reading them, on my thoughts and stuff as I was going, which I thought would really help this filming process. So hopefully we get some more betterful thoughts from me in this video. Sorry, I've been rambling a lot. So, The Golden Spoon. This is a book that I had heard of a little bit from other book talkers. Like, it's a mystery novel, but set at a cooking competition show, and that just really intrigued me. Like, it's literally like it is a baking competition show. If you know the Great British Bake Off, it's basically like that in this novel. And so there are, how many contestants? 8, maybe. Around 8 contestants. And this takes place at this big manor, like out kind of in the middle of nowhere. And a murder takes place. And that's really all I knew about it going into it. So, this book, it started off, I really was enjoying it. The build-up of it, the you know, the characters, learning about all the characters. There was some drama, like, within the characters themselves. So I really enjoyed learning about them and their whole stories and such. But then I got over halfway through the book and still, you know, nothing had really happened. So my first note that I have here, 80% of the book was built up with no murder. So really the whole premise of it took place in the last like 10 to 20% of the book. So if you like a lot of build up, you'll like this. Then kind of a lacking ending, honestly. Like, so much build up for kind of just a like, okay, like, I think I remember thinking like, oh really, like that's how it ended. Like, I was a little bit disappointed by the ending. I don't want to ruin it for anyone who wants to read it, but And then with that said as well, like a super slow build up, and then the ending was just like so slow, and then the ending was like really rushed. So I would rate it probably like 3 stars. I saw people calling it like a cozy mystery. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's pretty cozy. It takes place in a manor. I wouldn't call it scary at all. Like, the murder was kind of confusing. At first, I didn't even know who was murdered. It was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of weird. So 3 stars. I'm glad I read it. Again, I love the concept, but yeah, so that was that. Okay. Let me. This next book, I don't have a copy of either, so I'm just gonna tap on this random book. So the next book that I read was actually a novella written by Ali Hazelwood. So Ali Hazelwood is a well-known kind of romance rom-com author who writes about women in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and maths. And I read one other of her books. I think I rated it 4 stars. Like, it was good. I loved the STEM aspect of it. It wasn't like the best thing I had ever read or anything, but it was good. I liked it. So this is one of her novellas. It is called Below Zero, and obviously she's in STEM. She actually ends up working for NASA, which is really cool. And the main character's name is Hannah, which I liked. Although her name is spelled differently, it has an H on the end, but I thought that was kind of fun. It's a book that like kind of switches between times, like the present where she's working at NASA and the past, through her relationship with another man who works at NASA. Honestly, I don't really remember a lot of this book now that I'm talking about it. I don't remember what his name was, but they had met years ago. She had reached out to him because he was already kind of well known in the industry. She reached out to him to help to do an interview for a project, and they end up kind of hooking up, but she's actually a little bit of a player and doesn't want to commit. So they break things off when he wants to like take her out, and then they meet up again years later when she actually gets into NASA, where he already works. And so, yeah, you know how it goes. Romance, and things happen, and she gets mad at him for a thing, and then there's trouble, and then he comes to save her. It was cute. I saw like not the best reviews for it, honestly. I never read reviews or anything about a book before I go into it. I love going in blind, like fully open-minded, going in with my own opinions. So after I read them on Goodreads, I'll go through the reviews a little bit, just kind of see what other people had thought about it. And yeah, I read a lot of not great reviews on it. Like, it's a novella. Like, you can't go into a novella expecting like a life-changing reading experience. But a lot of the comments are like, it's just typical Ali Hazelwood, like the same kind of plot, storyline, and whatnot. It is a little bit spicy. There are a few sex scenes. Yeah, cute, short. I think 3.5 stars. Okay, moving on to the first physical book that I read. This is The Haunting of Hill House. This was one that was on my TBR. I've had this in a couple videos actually. So this was written by Shirley Jackson. guys did say in the comments that they aren't the same, but I was not prepared for the amount of not sameness that they were. They're not even in the same realm. Like, there is a house. There's a haunted house called Hill House. So this book starts off, and it's about a scientist doctor named Dr. Montague, and he believes in the paranormal spiritual world, but he really wants to kind of prove this and get evidence of it. So he finds Hill House. It's very infamous, and he reaches out to a bunch of different kind of, not random people, but people who have maybe had kind of weird experiences. And two women, Theodore and Eleanor, he ends up getting to come stay with him for the summer in Hill House, along with, his name is Luke, the owner, like one of the person in the family who actually owns the house, because no one actually lives there. So it's the four of them, for the most part anyways. And they stay in this house, just kind of see what will happen, you know. And first of all, it was written in 1959, and I actually don't think, besides like in high school, like required readings, I haven't read like a book that old before. So the writing was very obviously different from how it is now. So part of my problem with this is that I was confused half of what they were saying. Like, it kind of went like over my head, or I didn't fully grasp it, which was too bad. It was kind of hard to read. Like, the dialogue was interesting. Like, they were always so, like, they never talked normally. Like, even for 1959, I don't think they spoke normally. Like, they were always so sarcastic, but in like a weird way. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was, again, a very, very slow build up, and everything that was scary that happened, I was confused. I'm like, because some things were meant like a dream, so I wasn't sure if what was happening was real, because I didn't know if it was real, and it was also, things were described weird, and because of that, it like wasn't scary. I was just confused. And one other thing that got me confused is I started reading this at the same time that I was reading The Golden Spoon, and they both take place in like big manors. So in my brain, when I was like reading one part, I was thinking of the other book. So I was kind of confusing myself there. So that was my fault. But it was very, very interesting. So yeah, absolutely nothing like the series. The only things that are the same, because in the series it's about a family. They have 5 children who lived in Hill House, and 3 of the children's names are named after characters in this book. And there are a couple of other things, like there's a cup full of stars that's in both. But like, when they say inspiration for the Netflix series, I mean, yes, very loose inspiration. So I know, like, listen, it's not a big deal. I'm making it seem like a bigger deal. But you know, when you have like a show and a book that from the outside seem like they're based off each other, like the same name, like this cover, she's a character in the show, you know, like, I don't know, it's just kind of disappointing. I don't know, just looking through my notes now, it's kind of hard to follow, again, probably having to do with it being 1959. It took me a while to finish it. I kind of had to force myself through it, which I hate to say. I wanted to love this book so much. The dialogue was very odd, hardly any scary parts. Like I said, it was like the scary parts to me weren't scary at all. Again, I was just confused. The ending was like very lackluster and disappointing. It I don't know what to rate it though. I really don't know what to rate it. Like, I'm sorry, 2.5 stars. I just didn't enjoy it that much. I'm really sorry. Okay, guys, so the next book I read. So far we are on a streak of kind of disappointing books, and that's going to continue into this next one. So it is called I Kissed Sarah Wheeler. So we're going kind of jumping back and forth between kind of scary books and romance. Okay, so I kissed, oh no, not Sarah, I Kissed Shara Wheeler. That's what it is called. I'll put the book and author up for you. So I'd seen this book before. No clue what it's about. I just kind of seen the cover. I like the cover. It's really cute. So this is a kind of odd book. I don't really know what genre it is. It's like, I don't know if I would call it a lit fic, but it's kind of romance. I guess so. But it's the first book with a gay female lead that I've ever read, and the whole thing was kind of full of like queer characters, which is fun. That doesn't like mean anything. I just thought I would note that. That's a fun little fact there. So yeah, I loved the concept of this book. So Shara Wheeler was the popular like it girl in their small town high school, and one day she goes missing, but not before kissing. So she has a boyfriend, but before she goes missing, she kisses this one girl who is the main character and a boy who she is neighbors with, and both of these people find letters from her that she left them. So it's all very strange, and the main female character, who, oh my god, what's her name? Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. Why didn't I write down her name? I wrote all my notes, but I did not write her name. Whoops. But I wrote, I liked the concept of this book. It is different and interesting and hooked me from the start, which is true. So she goes missing, and they start finding these letters, and each letter has a clue that leads to the next letter. But what I found strange was like, so her father, the Shara, who I'm missing, her father is the principal of their school, and he just says like, oh yeah, she's just like with family right now or whatnot. Like, no one actually seems like concerned that she's missing, which is kind of weird. So they keep finding notes. The boyfriend ends up coming into it, and obviously he's kind of pissed that she kissed these two other people, and then so they end up finding her like halfway through the book, which I thought was weird and also kind of lackluster. But then it kind of turns into like a coming of age, like finding yourself, and then kind of romance as well. So yeah, it turned out to being kind of like a nice heartfelt book. So I can't fault it for that. But at the same time, how it started to how it ended, like, I want to say I was disappointed. I don't know, there were a lot of parts in it that were just kind of like, why is this necessary? If you know what I mean. Like, a lot of chapters in it were kind of random. I don't know. 3 stars. Yeah. Like, cute concept. Didn't do a whole lot for me. Okay. Let's move on. I think I'm talking too much about these books, so I apologize for that. Next book I read is another novella, actually, that I read on my Kindle, and that is called Satan's Affair. So Satan's Affair is a novella that goes with ate this novella up. It was so freaking good. So super, super easy to read. Like, I was hooked from the start of it. Like, it's a novella, so you expect it, you know, to keep pace, but still never a dull moment. It was extremely spicy, extremely sexual. There was literally a warning at the beginning of this book. Oops. Sorry, just opening this tab here. There was a literal warning you about the, like, sexual violence and, like, weird stuff that goes on in the book. So, and then once I got to some chapters, I was like, yeah, do you know what, that warning, that checks out. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, so just be aware if you want to get into this book, and the duology as well. It's all very kind of messed up, but so freaking good. Yeah, I kind of mentioned, but I love how it tied in with Haunting Adeline. Just absolutely freaking loved it. I did read Haunting Adeline first, but it didn't ruin the twist that happened in Satan's Affair, like, at all. So I should probably kind of say what it's about. So Satan's Affair is about a carnival, a traveling Halloween carnival. That's what the carnival's called, Satan's Affair. So it travels throughout the states through the month of October, has rides, but their main thing is, like, haunted houses. And there is this one haunted house that's like a dollhouse, and this girl named Sybil, or her nickname is Sibby, and she is crazy, you could say. She so basically what she does, what her job, her calling in life is to find people. So she has this gift where she can smell the aura of people and know if they're evil or not. So she, like, lurks in this haunted house and watches people as they come into the haunted house, and if she smells that they're evil, she'll, like, point them out to her henchmen. She has, I think, 5 henchmen who live, like, in the haunted house with her, and so they will separate this evil person, and then basically she murders them, and then does, like, weird stuff and weird sexual things with her henchmen, and all this stuff. But then she ends up meeting the people from Haunting Adeline, and, like, it all collides, and yeah, and then the big twist at the end, which, again, for me, even though I read Haunting Adeline, didn't ruin it at all for me. Maybe I'm, like, naive and kind of dumb sometimes when it comes to, like, not picking out that kind of stuff, but honestly, I like that. I didn't see it coming, which made the whole thing a lot more enjoyable. So what else did I write here? Oh yeah, I literally, like, got lost in this book while I was reading it. When I finished reading it, like, the last good chunk of it I read all at once. Like, I literally forgot where I was when I finished the book. I finished it and I didn't know where I was anymore. I was like, oh shoot, like, and then I felt, like, empty for a moment afterwards. It was just so good. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was 5 stars. So the next physical book that I read in November was The Kiss Curse. This is written by Aaron Sterling. Yeah. So, excuse me. This is the second book in a duology. I think there's only 2. I know there isn't a third one right now, but I don't know of there being a third or coming out with a third. It's the second book to The XX, which I read, I think in October, which I loved. It was super cute. So The Whiskers is the second, and so they are like witchy rom-coms, which, hello, you can't go wrong. So I loved the XX, but I loved the Kiskers. I like this one more than the first. I had heard it was kind of funny, and I laughed on the first page. Like, it wasn't like a hilarious book, but just like some things that the main character thought or said, it was just like so relatable or so like sarcastic. So her name is Gwen, and she is a witch. She is the cousin of the female main character in the first book, and she runs a little witchy shop in the town of Graves Glen, where they all live, which is actually powered by magic. It's a very kind of famous kind of Halloween town, and honestly this book has very much Halloween town movie vibes, just like so cozy. I love it. So the love interest in this book, his name is Wells, and he is the brother of the male love interest in the XX, and he moves to town from Wales in the UK because he's tired of running the bar there, and his father wants him to come over, and he ends up opening up his own like witchy shop. So him and Gwen like don't really get along at first. She remembers him from an incident back in like university, college. So Graves Glen has a university, which also has like a witch university as part of it. And Gwen and Wells, because they both went there, they had a run-in that wasn't very positive. So she remembers him from that and kind of hates him, but he doesn't remember her at all. As being Gwen, she had like different colored hair and stuff. Also, this book takes place a year after the first book. Oh yeah, one thing to note in this that I wrote here, I was confused sometimes. I don't like in books where, like, you know, usually there'll be like a quote, like something they said, then it like says Gwen or said Gwen. It says who was talking. And sometimes they don't do that when it's obvious who's speaking. But that happened a lot in this book, where people were just talking and I didn't know who was speaking. So like that was interesting and kind of confusing. I don't know if it's just me, but I did get confused quite a number of times, not knowing who was actually talking. But like that's just a little thing. But yeah, I really loved it. So it's a little enemies to lovers, although Wells never had an issue with her. One thing that was weird that I was like waiting to happen. So I told you that they had like an incident years ago, because he ends up telling her about this incident but not knowing who the girl was, and she never tells him that it was her. Like, that drove me crazy. I'm like, why didn't you tell him that it was her? Because he had a crush on her. I'm like, that girl is you. Like, why are you keeping that secret? It would have been like such a cute moment for you to tell him that, but she never did, which was annoying. So 4 stars though. I loved it, and since reading this, I've actually found myself like thinking about them and the world and like wanting to know what happened next. So I would absolutely read a 3rd book in this universe, if there was one. Just cute, witchy vibes. Loved it. Would recommend. Okay, guys. So for the final, like, full book that I read, again, I want the physical copy. I'm sorry. This was kind of a random one that I picked out. It's called Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is, I think, a very well-known book. It is a literary fiction, kind of contemporary romance. I think I would call it a romance, even though I don't want to spoil the ending for you. But yeah, I want to read kind of more books like this. I don't want to say, like, it's not that nothing happened in it, but there's no friend. She's kind of the weird girl. And the male lead, Connell, he's not rich at all, but is like a football player and like really popular. And his mom works for Marianne's family, cleaning their house, so he comes over a lot to like pick her up. And him and Marianne, you know, start talking, and then they end up having a relationship together, really like strictly sexual, but also a friendship. But he doesn't want anyone to know, so no one knows about their relationship. Like, he's embarrassed for people to find out. I feel so bad for her, because like she gets it and she doesn't tell anyone, which is so sad. Their relationship is kind of off and on, and then like each chapter jumps like months in ahead, so the whole book spans like 4 or 5 years, to the point where they're like out of university or just ending at the end of it. It just goes through like, yeah, their relationship basically. Like I said, there's no like huge major plot points or anything. It's just I kind of like that sometimes, where you're just kind of reading a story. Yeah, I did like it. I liked it. I think 4 stars, I would say. I felt so bad for her at some points. Yeah, I think I would recommend it. It was good. So I've been talking for almost 40 minutes. That was not my plan. I don't know if I'm gonna do a TBR for next month or not yet. I have a few books I want to get to, but I don't know. You will see if a TBR video comes out. So one book I'm reading right now, which I don't have on me, is As Good as Dead, the 3rd book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I am freaking loving it so much. I wanted to be done it for this video, but that just didn't happen. So look forward to that in next month's video. It is so good.